Our duck and goose season is done here in Minnesota, so it's time for me to clean my shotgun. I'm going to be shooting a bunch of pigeons in the off season, so I kind of want to do a thing where I want to see what's more dirty, the trap loads or steel shot. Figured we'd do a video on how to clean your Benelli. So I'm going to take it apart again like I did in our last video. She's dirty enough, let's just say that. Oh, that's dirty. So essentially with this video, I'm just going to do like the essential cleaning of your Benelli. I could take apart the whole inertia system. I know how to do that. It just takes a lot more time and you hardly ever need to do that. So I already did it once this year, so I don't need to do it again. But you can just see how dirty that this thing is. Oh my god. From duck loads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe down this whole inertia system. Get all the excess carbon off of it. You know, just wipe it down. There's some harder to reach areas that I'm going to use a nice pointy deal to get into with my cloth. Looks alright. Shouldn't look too shabs. This is a really good area to clean too. This is your firing pin. So obviously we want that to hit the primer of our shotgun shells. So you just want to make sure that that's uninhibited. If you really want to get crazy with the cleaning, you can pull this out, that deal, and it'll come apart. So now I'm going to use my nice pointy tool, take that trigger mechanism out. This is the part that I feel like really needs to be cleaned. Ugh. Just freaking gross. Look at that. Got cattail crap in it. So much carbon on it. Okay. So now I'm going to wipe down this whole trigger system. Get all the excess oil off. Get all the carbon off again. I don't know, you can either do it really fast or you can take your time and really get every bit of carbon off. You're always going to have carbon on your gun. So it's not going to hurt the Benelli. Other guns, maybe, I don't know. But put that back down. Wipe all that stuff down. So this is your recoil spring right in here. And so what this does is when you shoot, this goes down and pushes onto this deal. And that's what keeps your gun firing. So that's very important to wipe down. Extremely important. And you can see how nasty mine is. It's absolutely disgusting. So what I like to do is I like to rip up an old shirt and use that just because paper towels, you can kind of get some lint stuck in there and stuff like that. But a shirt's not going to leave anything in there. Ugh. That's just gnarly. So I'm going to continue to wipe this down. And this is where I feel like the most carbon builds up in your gun. And this is what can actually gunk up your gun pretty bad. Is it can like get in your recoil tube right there, recoil spring tube, and just keep your gun from ejecting the shell or pushing the next shell in. And I like to push down on it a little bit so the shirt kind of gets stuck and you get everything on the edge. Pretty simple stuff. I mean, just if you take care of your gun will take care of you. So I don't know, like I'm not going to go too crazy on it. I'm just going to wipe it down enough to where there's not like carbon everywhere. All right. And then we got this area in here. So you just want to get your excess crap off in there. Get the extra carbon out. Look at how dirty that was. Here's a really important part too. Take off your choke tubes frequently. My last gun, my choke tube seized in there and I couldn't get it out. This is what's crazy to me is look at how dirty your choke tubes can get. This is a relatively new choke tube. I've been shooting it the last half of the season. pretty dirty. So you just want to make sure that you didn't like cross thread it, stuff like that, and then it's okay. Just like wipe it down, really. Kind of get the excess crap off of there. And then to go a step further, stick your finger down the tube. I use my pinky because my fingers are too fat. Just kind of get that crap off in there. I'd say it was dirty. Okay, so now comes the important part. Now we got all of our carbon off and stuff like that. So now here's the really important part, is the lubrication. So, just another area with carbon. So when I lube this thing, you don't want to over lube your gun, because naturally carbon's going to be shot out of, like, excess carbon's going to come out of each shell. So if you have oil all over everything, it just attracts dirt and attracts everything. So I only like to put it in the very key areas, so that I'm not just like wiping down and oiling the crap out of it. I haven't bought oil in years. So when I pull the trigger, this comes up and hits the firing pin. So what I like to do is hit that hinge right here with oil. And it's just a drop. Just a drop right there. And then you look at all the other components of your gun, like what moves. This moves. And then underneath, I know you're supposed to put one drop on that deal. So I always put one. Not a whole lot, just enough to lube it up. And then I kind of like jimmy it around, push it in there, work it in there. And then this deal is for letting your next shell out. So I always put a drop right on this spring right here. So I like to hit this spring so that my next shell can load in there really nicely. You just put a nice drop on there and you kind of run it down. And then you just kind of push it in there. Go up and down with it a couple times. Let it work through the spring. So in my mind, this is done. And I'm going to put it back into the gun. I don't put any oil on this just because it already has oil on it, and you don't really want that slipping out on you when you're shooting anyway. So I'm just going to take this deal, pound it back into place. Now you can see these two tracks right here are really important. So I'm going to take my rag and wipe them down one more time, because that's where your inertia system slides in and out. So if I put it back in there like this, you can see, so when I put that back on there, you can see that this is where it slides, is right in between these two tracks right here. So when I push it back, it slides up and down in these tracks, and so that's where you want to put oil on those tracks. So I'm going to take it back out, oil up the track itself, okay? And I just like putting one drop down there because a little bit of lube goes a long way. Just kind of let it start to migrate down there. And on this side now. Let it slide down. So now you get to your inertia system. And it tells you to put one drop in your firing pin. But mine did not end up going down in there. And then I always wipe it off a little bit. Kind of try to push it down in there. But I got one drop of oil down in there. So before I put this back down in the track, you have your recoil spring down there, right? The part that cycles your shells. It does this. They tell you to put 3 drops of oil on that, and that's super important. But I just put 4, so it's okay. And just for the sake of me not getting oil on my hands, I'm going to put this back on there. And right before I slip it in the tube, I'm just going to spread out a little bit of oil right there and on the bottom. And I'm not putting a bunch of oil all over the place. And then this spring right here, I always put a drop on either side as well. This is really tricky to do without getting any oil on your hands, but I'm going to see if I can do this for the first time. So I grab this, stick it in the track, so then I just run it a couple times. Careful, it won't pop out on you. What I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm just spreading out the oil. without, you know, gobbing it on with the oil bottle. So then, just for the sake of me putting it back together, I take that back off, put the foregrip back on the barrel. Right? And there's nothing really that you need to lube in here, because this moving part is inside of there, and it's like, it's the top of the barrel, so nothing really moves through there. But this is one of those tracks, just like for here on the left side. I just always put a drop in this track right here. I'm going to put it all back together. Put my end cap back on. And this is something you can do just like, I know there's some like crazy people that clean their gun after every hunt. I'm not one of those people. But if I notice like my gun's starting to slow down a little bit, then I'll clean it. So then you put the charging handle back on. Listen to that. So that's essentially it. But the last part, if you don't want your choke tubes to seize in there, take 1 drop of oil, put it on there, and then you just take your finger, kind of rub it in there. That way, your choke tube never seizes in there. And that's how you do it, boys and girls. That's how you quickly clean your Benelli. It's super simple, and this is the whole reason why I got it, is so I can just take it apart, clean it, super easy, and it'll sound like this every time I cycle it. I love it. I love this gun. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this helps you out on how to clean your gun a little bit better and not just splash oil all over the place and get it all over your mom's table. So, thanks for watching.